Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. We are recording as we speak. Call the meeting to order for the Town of Acton, Maine Selectmen's meeting for June 17th, 2020. First item is salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Okay, for second item, Town Administrator Weekly Update. Jen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I get to make up for last week.
Yes, and thanks to the public for allowing us to cancel last week on a moment's notice.
But you all had something different going on, so it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, my boy was graduating last week, so
that's really important, and congratulations to him. And in my case, it was make hay while the sun shines, and we were picking up hay. So, okay, Jen.
Okay, so question number one. We have a ton of committee members expiring in June. Now, we know that elected members expiring in June, such as Warren and Finance, anything elected, that they automatically stay in their seats until you have an open town meeting. However, that is not the case with the other ones. So, looking for some guidance from the Board of Selectmen, are we looking, do you want a list prepared of every member of every committee that's coming due? Do you want me to start calling them and asking them if they're interested in being reappointed, get that information first, and then, you know, give to you to see if, you want to, you want to reconsider, or if you want to go out. We do have a handful of people that are interested in committees that are full, new people that are interested in committees that are full. So I'm not sure how you want to handle that. So that was the first item I was hoping we could discuss. And Dan, for some reason, Ed is mute. Nope.
No, I muted myself. So.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we really can't go wrong either way. I guess I'd like to know who's up, what committees we need to be doing, and who we need to reappoint. And I'd also like to know who's interested. So, Kim or Dave?
Yeah, I like to know who's coming up also, and whether or not they're going to be interested in coming back or not, and maybe a reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So I'll put a list together of everybody expiring. I'm to ask them if they want to be reappointed.
I would.
And
yeah.
David, are you saying ask them why they want to be reappointed?
No, ask them if they don't. Well, no, obviously we know why they want to be appointed, but if they don't want to be reappointed, I'd like to know why. I just think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Whether or not these people are this is a good experience for them or not.
All right, I will start working on that. So with that, we will roll into the capital improvements as well. I think we were up to, right before pre-COVID, we had our third or fourth member that was interested. So I'll put that on the list for you to look at. What I'll do is sort through it and see what's pertinent. I will tell you that most of your planning board members I know are coming due, and they're meeting week by week. So you're going to have to move quickly on that one. And I will tell you right now that that's the committee that I probably have 3 people that are interested in on that are not affiliated, with the town currently. So I need you to at least start thinking about that, because they're not going to be able to skip a beat one way or the other, whether it's the same committee or new ones. I don't know, they're not going to be able to lapse very much.
Yeah.
And the people that are wanting to be on that should be made aware that this isn't like a once a month thing. I mean, they're busy too.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to any of them. I told them that I'd give the board their names, and they've sent emails. I don't know where or how they even thought there were openings on the planning board, but I've gotten some emails recently.
Nice.
All right, so we'll prepare that, Cheryl, wink, wink. Next is a liquor license for Iron Tales. So it has been advertised. It's running in the, Cheryl and I worked with the got ourselves a connection at the Reporter. It's going to be our new go-to for the newspaper. They do deliver in at the Acton Post Office. When I spoke to her today, she indicated that they'd be putting a red box outside of the town hall as well. Prices are similar to the Smart Shopper. I think that Michelle will see a little bit of an increase, but I mean, we don't have a lot of options. I mean, the Reporter is going to be better than the Portland Press Herald, and it's free, and hopefully people will see it. So public hearing is going on there. We do have it scheduled. The applicant has been notified. We talked to the fire chief, waiting for the sheriff's department. Anything else you want me to do in preparation for that next week?
That's pretty much everything that we normally do.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, the Smart Shopper, they have ceased operation, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So.
I got a phone call from a resident on Loon Pond the other day. He's got some issues, some loud noise, bands playing after 8:30, and some burning rubber stuff. Might be something that we might have to address.
I also got one call. I was going to save it for next week.
Okay.
It's the same individual, but
Could be.
and yep. I mean, I figured that's the best place to do them. David, you think save them?
Yep.
For
Yeah,
next week?
let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I brought it up.
Okay.
I told him I would, and another week from now I might forget.
I've just made a note, so we'll ask you to remember. And when we go off camera, you can tell me the last name, and so I can jot it down and make sure I get it from you.
Yep.
Somewhere in the last 2 weeks, I had a conversation with Durwood Parkinson. Durwood is the attorney at Parkinson's in Kennebunk, where Leah Racham used to work. Remember Leah? And this is who we reached out to. He does a lot of planning, zoning, code enforcement. He's one of the top lawyers in York County. Durwood is who we reached out to talk about, Covewood and 13th Street. Remember, he was the attorney that we decided we were going to transfer everything over to him.
Yep.
And let him look at it. So during the COVID shutdown, he started reviewing. We sent him every piece of document that we had on file for Covewood and 13th Street. I've had one conference call with him so far. He had some questions and just wanted to make sure that he was understanding it. Sent him some warrant articles that, if you recall, Mr. Donahue pointed out in regards to Mr. LaValle's deed that was voted down at a town meeting. So anyways, we had one call, not to give you every detail, and he is we've got another one scheduled for next week where he's hoping to make a decision.
Sounds good.
Next on my list is had some conversations with the rec chair in regards to soccer and whether or not Acton can offer soccer. When we originally talked about it, I was under the impression from information I had gotten that the city of Sanford was doing soccer, and I asked him to reach out to Sanford and see how they were doing it. He got back to me and said that actually wasn't true, and that Sanford was not doing soccer. They would be taking signups now. At this point, there's not going to be any soccer. I mean, we just don't know what our number is going to be. If they're left at 50, he can't socially distance kids doing soccer.
Yep.
Right.
So, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of that going on right now,
Right.
as far as activities for the kids. I know
That's right.
Sanford does have a program for kids for the summer,
Right.
but it's a number of different things. So
No soccer in Acton. Sorry. Next, I have I'm going to unmute Michelle here so she can jump in for a second. The next thing I have, I think this was from last week, is we had I have excise decrease. If you recall, she sent us an email saying how far behind excise we already were. So I wanted to make sure that you saw that, and I wanted to go on the record, I guess, of saying that the treasurer pointed out that our excise decrease was already down. Michelle, it was compared to this much last year. Do you remember off the top of your head?
$57,000.
$57,000. So that's as of, I think, 2 weeks ago. So if we're already down 57,000, and I hate to keep, driving this into the ground, but if the Board of Selectmen would have decided to commit taxes based on last year's numbers, she just told you we were $57,000 short, so we would never be able to make those revenues. I mean, we may make up for it, but that's a huge chance to take. So Pre-audit, Michelle has been in communication with the auditors. Pre-audit is scheduled for next Thursday and Friday. They are doing it from home. Michelle and I have gathered what we need, and Michelle's in the process of scanning and sending everything over. We have to be available, Michelle primarily, for those 2 days, and they'll call or Zoom in, I guess, with questions.
Yep.
All right. One of the questions that came up a couple of weeks ago, excuse me, is what are we doing about the boat launch Great East with over 50 people? I did speak to the Sheriff's Department, and they did concur. I spoke to one of the sergeants that it is the Sheriff's Department's responsibility to enforce that 50-person rule, and anybody that has any concerns should call up the Sheriff's Department directly. Next, I wanted to talk to the board about the town report dedication. So we are expecting them in from the printer, not too soon, and not much longer. And I just want to be thinking of a creative way that at least, you know, the 5 of us can get together with said individuals and find a little way of presenting. You know, I thought about maybe working through a third party and figuring out what time those individuals might be voting. Actually, no, they're probably going to vote absentee based on age. Anyways, I want to think about that, see if you guys can think of something.
I have one thought. I have been kind of thinking about that.
Good.
If we could have someone staged during a selectmen's meeting near the individual's house and have it brought up on a phone, you know, Zoom into the meeting.
Can that be me?
Probably not.
You know, there's got to be some
Only
purpose. Come on,
because
Ed.
we need you in the position you're at. So
You can wing it 1 week without me.
if we probably could, but it wouldn't be pretty. So if we could have someone staged near the house and we got to the part where we're going to do the dedication, we'd have to know. It would have
Like
to be
the
an insider.
Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah,
Not
Ed
on the-
McMahon.
Oh, come on. I want to hold the balloons at least.
Okay,
Here.
sure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So anyway, you know,
right.
it has to be an insider to the individual.
All right. Because these people might not let you in.
You got to catch him when he's home. You know, when the individual's home.
Right, when they're both
Yep.
home.
All right. I
Yeah.
got it. I got just a person in mind.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Good job, Edward.
Well, usually.
The next thing we could probably do the same way. Well, this one doesn't have to be quite as formal, but unfortunately, we did lose our oldest resident. Our Boston Cane resident passed away probably about, I'd say, a month or 2 ago now. And we have identified the new Boston Cane recipient. If we didn't have a public hearing at 7, I would tell you the story of the poor fire chief and what he did to try to find this person, because we had some, real quick. So we run a report in voter lists, and I can tell it to run by certain age. So I tell it to run, 85 to 999. And we look at the list and we say, okay, Billy's older than Bobby, and kind of sort it out. Well, the first one was a typo on his voter card. It looked like, and I did pull his card, it looked like 21, but he was actually born in 71. So Rick went to the door, knocked on it, introduced himself, was looking for so-and-so, wanted to, tell me he was a Cane recipient. And yeah. Then the second person that was supposedly the oldest didn't live. There was no house where the house number was. So it's been an interesting process Rick has helped with, but we finally found the real person.
Good.
All right. So how do you want to do that, Ed? How do you want to do the present?
Well, the last time we did it, the Historical Society did it.
Right.
At their facility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's possible right now. So maybe do it similar.
Or
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I was going to say, or maybe the 3 of you, or, you could just, but again, when you have the oldest resident, do you really want to go over there? You want to expose them to anything.
Exactly.
Right.
That's why we need another insider.
Right. All right. I'm on it. Let me think about that one.
Okay.
Okay. Last thing that I wanted to go over, and this is just informational, not a lot of discussion behind it because it is not nothing official, but I was made aware that there are petitions being circulated in regards to the town meeting. I think I sent you guys emails. Essentially, it's looking to adopt an ordinance regulating the conduct of town meeting business. That's more of just an FYI. I forwarded the email to you, and I forwarded you the thoughts of the individual. that the reasons why he feels like you made bad choices and forced this audit. So I didn't encourage you to read it, but that is out there.
I'm pretty sure none of the three of us got a hold of Governor Mills and convinced her that this was the way to go.
But that person voted for her. She's the one who made the decision.
Yeah.
So
We just jumped the gun on the decision because it was the proper thing to do to keep the townsfolk safe in the town of Acton, and to yet allow as many people as physically possible to vote in this year's election. So that was my driving force behind this.
yeah,
And
look
Governor
at it.
Mills, like her or not, came out and said, "This is the way you have to do it." So,
Right.
okay.
I just don't get it. We tried our hardest. I've got these petitions right in my hand right now. And when you try your hardest to make sure you don't change the tax rate, blah, 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 we put through things that we thought were necessary. Only the necessary stuff, flatline wages, all that stuff.
No zoning.
Zoning, nothing that, and the issue I have is you send this stuff out, why aren't there any names on this? You put in a group, but at the same time, obviously I know who's behind this because of all the emails we've gotten over and over and over, and the finance committee is all over this like white on rice. And
I'm not, I'm going to interrupt
probably
you.
not.
Maybe
Not-
not
there's
everybody.
a couple of them that are on this. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The ones that are having the issue.
Don't use broad brush.
Yeah, I don't want to bring everybody into that group, but there's certain individuals on that committee that seem to think that we're breaking the law and everything else. And last year, town meeting was my first town meeting as selectman, and I've been on a lot of town meetings, and watching what certain individuals on that committee did by amending just about every article they could amend. We gave them that opportunity, and we did a lot of changes to our warrant articles to appease them, and we're still not doing it right. So, what I tell them, they on this petition, there's nothing here saying that they want to stop July 14th. They just want to do whatever. So just prolong it, which I think we're doing the right thing, and we're doing what the state's telling us to do. And I think we're wasting a lot of time on this, unfortunately.
Okay.
And you'll see from some emails, I did, not so much on this piece, but I did invite Mr. Gore, who those emails came from, to the zoning meeting tonight. So we'll get down to that.
Not that.
That's all I have for that, Ed.
Okay. Nothing else.
No,
Great.
sir.
Warrants and bills. I was in earlier tonight and signed them. That's
Kim and Ed and David.
Signed. Dave, you've signed as well. So good. We're all set there.
Yeah.
Okay. Approval of the agenda. Do we hear a
Make a
motion to
motion.
approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Selectmen's
Good.
meeting of June 17th.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda for June 17th. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Okay, do we hear a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 3rd.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to approve June 3rd's minutes of the Selectmen's meeting. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Department head committee chair updates. We have Goat Hill. So go right ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I'm going to jump in front of him because I got a couple things.
Okay, sorry.
Well, he knows. We talked about this.
Okay.
So a few things. So the first thing regarding Goat Hill is that there was an email that was sent out, and I forwarded it to you guys, that had the Goat Hill project from the Federal Land Water Conservation Fund. Part of the process was that they created this environmental policy for the grant. It's a document explaining everything that, basically what it does to the environment, and they want to post it for 30 days so that if anybody has any concerns with the work up there, they have a chance to be heard. So the state of Maine has posted, they've asked the town to post it on the website, so it is there posted now. If anybody has any concerns, we're sending them directly to Carl. Right? The environmental report, Carl?
Yes.
The other thing with Goat Hill is the animal control officer reached out to me and wondered how the Board of Selectmen would feel about putting a sign that said all dogs must be leashed on the trail or on Goat Hill. The law does say that you can have the leash law is defined as being on a leash or being within verbal control. But the concern is, based on how wide the trail is and the amount of people up there, it's just, he thinks they should all be leashed. So Carl, I don't
Probably
think,
not a bad idea.
yeah, and Carl didn't have any concerns with that, did you?
No, that's fine. Yep.
David, Kim?
Yeah, Kim or Dave?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, probably for our liability, it'd be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Because if when you say that, the dog's within reach or whatever, the dog takes off, then you have no control of it. So,
No.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So we'll get that sign ordered and you'll get it put up, Carl?
Yes.
Okay. Before we get to the contract, the next thing regarding Goat Hill was Carl had called me because there was a tree down. Tell them, Carl, exactly the size of the tree and where it went down.
Yeah, this was a pine that was probably 18 to 2 foot in diameter at the base. It went down on the west side on the hill and fell kind of across the old tarred road that's up there that goes across the hill. And it was rotten. I mean, it didn't visibly show that when it was standing, but once it's down, you see that it was rotten.
That microburst the other day.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Was it in the parking area? Part of the parking area?
No, this is on top of the hill,
Oh, okay. All right.
right up on top. One of the big pines up on top.
All right. So the very top. All right.
Yeah, very top. Yep.
Is this, this was the thing I think we would talk, well. So that needs to be cleaned up or has been, or?
I was up there probably 4 or 5 days ago and it wasn't cleaned up, no.
Okay.
And whose responsibility is it to clean up like stuff like that? I mean, I don't think we've ever talked about stuff like this, have we?
No, we've never had any issues like that up there.
Right. So I guess that's the next thing. I mean, that's why I asked if it was in the parking lot. For some reason, I know that we have or that side was taking care of the parking lot, but it's not in the parking lot, so that.
Right. Is it something that needs to be cleaned up, Cal? Should be cleaned up? Is it across the trail or
Yeah, it
even
should be.
aesthetically?
Yeah, it should be cleaned up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guess my concern is, I mean, we obviously got to figure out before we anoint one of the road commissioners that's taking care of that. Because when they do that, we got to make sure what budget they're pulling it out of, and pulling out a road budget to be taking care of that probably doesn't fly right.
Right.
Do we have money set aside for anything like this for the
Yeah.
No.
Probably not for Goat Hill, but what about just buildings and property? Because if a tree came down at the town hall, we'd have to clean it up somehow.
What happens if a tree comes down at the rec field?
Same thing.
Yeah.
No, it's not, because the rec's got money to do their
True.
cleanup. Okay, that's what I'm getting to here. So, really what we ought to be doing, Carl takes care of that, correct? You pretty much take care of most of that Goat Hill stuff. You're our go-to guy. And, we really ought to have somebody, such as Carl, with a name, like director or overseer or whatever, and we really ought to be budgeting some sort of, maintenance. I mean, if a tree falls down, There's a washout or something, something to emergency fund for, something like that for each, I just don't think that we ought to just have the road commission start taking over other stuff other than roads. I don't think it's part of their road ordinance, part of the road ordinance. So that was the only concern I had. I mean, obviously, if there's something fell down the parking lot, go and get it done. If it's a safety hazard, this and that. But when it just comes to general repairs and stuff like that, I think we ought to come up with a solution and fund it a little bit so that they can do their own thing, like every other department does.
Yep. Makes sense. Right now, budgets are already in and
Right.
cast in stone, so we're going to take care of this one.
Well, what I would suggest maybe with this one, I'll talk with Will Cody, and he and I could probably take care of this one. I'd have to check with him, and then next year, that makes sense to me if there's some sort of a budget for maintenance there going forward. That would be a good idea in my mind. Yeah.
Well, we're going to spend all that money getting the trails all done and this and that. You're obviously going to want to keep it up to snuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to need some sort of maintenance budget. And, and I think we really ought to look at, appointing somebody as a town overseer for that, to make sure that, we have somebody who that's their job to use that budget.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Yeah, I agree.
I do too.
So something definitely for next year. So,
All right.
or even
Well, we'll take care
possibly
of this
later
one.
on this fall if we do a special town meeting. So,
We'll add it to the list.
okay.
All right, so the last item under the Goat Hill was 2 weeks ago, I sent you over a copy of the packet, the contract. Remember, you've already awarded the bid to this individual. This is the trial construction agreement. Michelle and I reviewed it. I told you that Michelle pointed out that the insurance wasn't enough. Since then, the winning bidder has submitted us a copy of his certificate of liability showing the $1 million. So Michelle and I are good with that. The rest of the contract is fine. Goat Hill has returned, Three Rivers has reviewed it. So we're looking for a motion to sign it, or if you have any questions from reviewing it 2 weeks ago.
I have no questions on it. I think that's a good catch on the liability insurance. And
I looked through it. It looks good. So
yep.
I think so also.
So I guess with that, I just need a motion.
make a motion to accept the Goat Hill insurance bid?
Trail construction agreement.
Trail construction agreement.
In your packet.
Yeah, with it's Kenny Beck.
Scrolling.
Sorry.
Kenny Beck
It's
Trail
way
Company.
down there.
Okay.
Two, Kennebec Trail Company.
I'll
Actually,
second that.
probably, what was the dollar amount? I know it's in here
I'm
someplace.
looking.
You ought to
I'm
make that
almost
part of it.
Dollar amount is
let's see here.
approved. I thought we'd already approved that part of
You
it.
did. That piece, that's irrelevant. I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
Okay.
you already awarded the bid. It's just the language of the contract. We needed a motion and a second on
Okay.
and a vote.
Okay. So it's been moved. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Moved and seconded to award the bid to Kenny Beck Trail Company to do the trails as described up at Goat Hill. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor? Call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay.
So thank you for that. The flip side of that is that I need this document signed tomorrow. We have to get this in the hands of the individual. So I will have a fresh copy at the office. If you could come in for around, between 4 and 8, I'd like to get it signed and emailed over so that they can get rolling.
Sounds good.
Great.
I
Thank
will
you.
do that.
All right, I'm turning you off, Carl. Have a good
Okay.
night. I mean, you can
Yeah.
stay, but I'm turning your camera off.
All righty. Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yep. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Okay, that's all set. Okay. Anything else on department heads or committee chairs?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I don't see any little hands waving anywhere on the screen, so Old business, we have paving bid.
And I just requested both road commissioners to turn their videos on. Let's see, we got Joe, let's unmute Joe, and Will.
Hello?
Oh, there he is. All right.
There they are, both of them. Good.
All right, so in your packet, and both of the guys have it, so we have a breakdown of the paving bid that was submitted. Sorry, it wasn't here. Oh, there it is. All right. So we were at Dayton Sand and Gravel, $78 per ton, $135 per handwork, $9 for lineal feet, 25 cents square foot. Pike, actually, let me go there. Let's start with the lowest. Pike was the lowest at $68 per ton laid, 155 handwork, 19 square foot. Next would have been Allstate. Carroll was at 74. Same handwork as Pike. Curbing was up $3 a ton, and reclaiming was a penny difference. And then Dayton Sand and Gravel and Libby were both quite a bit higher. So I guess we'll start with the road commissioners. Got a recommendation. So the low bidder is Pike.
Okay. Yep, I'll go to the road commissioners right now. I guess let's start with Will. Well, actually, let's start with both of you because I'm hoping that both of you had a chance to sit down and discuss it together and come up with a recommendation. That's what, $6.50 a ton difference between the low bidder and the next one up.
Yeah, me and Joe, we talked that night after, and we both settled on F.R. Carroll there. We used them last year. We used them in the past, and Joe had them last year do all their paving. He was comfortable with them. They worked with him in the end, and same thing with me. And I had no problem with them, and we have a good relationship with them. So we recommend going with Allstate Materials, F.R. Carroll.
Is there a reason that you wouldn't go with Pike? We still owe something to the taxpayers, so I just want to hear, I mean, without getting into details, I mean, have you had bad experience with them? Have you, something? I mean, it's great that you have a good working relationship with F.R. Carroll, and I don't doubt that at all.
I mean, I've never really worked with Pike before. I really never worked with them, but
are they a reputable paving company?
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's who they've used F.R. Carroll in the past, and I mean, we used them last year, and Joe had good luck with them, and I did. So,
but I mean, I guess if and there's no sense to go out to bid if we're not going to, entertain other companies. I mean, if one of them are overbidding or they don't do reputable work, we just got to say that sometimes. But you know what I mean? So we owe something to the taxpayer. Go ahead, David.
I remember years we always had a low bidder, and we never picked a low bidder because he was terrible. These four people on this list here are all reputable, and I like to have a reason why you're picking somebody. $6.50 difference in paving. They're on the actual tonnage. 1 cent, the 1 cent per square foot. I mean, obviously, whatever. But the handwork, same money. Yeah, the curbing, which I don't know how much curbing you're putting down. You haven't come to us yet to tell us, see what you're doing. So, I mean, I like to have some sort of reason why, other than last year you worked with them.
I mean, do you guys agree that Pike is a reputable company? I mean, I don't know anything about this field, so that's why I'm just trying to, but we have to answer the questions on the other side, and I can't just say on behalf of the board that the road commissioners like you better. I mean, we have to be able to say it's unfortunate, but your company, does A, B, and C, and it's just not a good fit for the town of Acton. I can't say just because we've used these guys, you know what I mean? There's got to be a little more to it. So do we have examples or reasons why the low bidder might not be a good choice or fit for the town?
Hello?
Yep, go ahead, Joe.
Hello? Oh, I think I lost you there for a little bit.
Yep.
No, I just, my was last year, and granted, last year was my first year dealing with paving, and they came out, they spec'd out what I wanted to do, and they said what they were going to do in a timely fashion. And I'm not saying that Pike wouldn't do that. It's just a smaller company, and I was a local company. That's kind of how I feel. It's just a more local company. So
FR Carroll is more local than Pike?
Not
Is
any,
that what you're
my
saying?
opinion, not anymore, because FR Carroll was bought out by Allstate.
Yeah, they're a
Right.
Massachusetts
Yeah.
company.
So,
right.
Yeah.
I
But
feel like in the
Pike is a-
past,
Yeah. Go ahead, Kim.
Pike is a multi-billion-dollar company that owns Old Castle. They own everything. They own a bunch of stuff. So this is my thought. And you take it for what it's worth. But, when they said they were going to do something, they pulled up and they got it done. On the day that they said they would get it done.
Do we have any proof or backbone that Pike won't do the same?
I
You
didn't
hear
say that.
things from, no, I didn't say you did. I'm just saying, do we have neighboring towns that you've heard have issues? Are they too backed up? I mean, there's got to be something. I mean, it's Pike.
Unfortunately, I can't really weigh in on this.
David?
I feel like
I can weigh on this.
in the
I can weigh in
past,
this. I can
in the
weigh in on
past
this.
we have always, in the past 3 years that we've done this, we have not always picked the lowest bidder, and we have always gone with what our road commissioners recommended. I mean, I can say that. When you and Scott said, this is who we use, we supported you, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. So anyhow, go
Joe,
ahead.
Well, it's
No.
like as far as my, paving budget for this, obviously before this whole virus came, I met with FR. They measured my roads. We actually laid out a paving budget. Obviously, it didn't happen, but that's what I wanted to do. So they came out, measured, and I just feel like we have a good working relationship with FR Carroll.
So we're at the point now where, why are we putting this out to bid then? I mean, there's a $6.50 bid. These are reputable. This isn't Joe Schmo from Wolfboro like we had one year and another company, which I'm not going to name off, with a few guys on it. These are reputable companies. If I look at this here, because I've worked with every single one of these people, okay, and Dayton Sand and Gravel's my guys. Those guys were awesome to me. But, they're only $4 more, $3.50 more a ton. Why don't we roll with them? These are all reputable companies. And unfortunately, if you went out and laid all this stuff out with FR, then you should have done the same with the other three of them. Because when you put this out to bid, it's put out to bid. Now, everybody that we always bid out, if they didn't show up, that was their problem. And if these guys didn't show up, then I can understand that. But I just wanted the reason why Pike Industries at $6.50 is not qualified to pay for the town of Acton, seeing they've done just about every other town around here.
Well, I'll tell you, last year, Pike didn't even bid on it.
Well, they did Shapley and all the other towns.
Well, no, last year, Pike did not even bid on it because they wanted it by the ton. And the guy that I met with, he said, I'm not even going to give you a per ton price unless you lay it out as far as what roads you want done.
Is that last year or this year?
Last year.
Last year. So last year, Pike didn't even bid on it because they wouldn't even entertain a per ton price. So they didn't even bid on it.
They wouldn't entertain a per ton price? Well,
No,
they would give it a per ton.
They would not even, they didn't even bid on it. The only ones last year was Dayton and FR.
Okay.
Pike would not even entertain a per ton price because they said, if I need to know what roads I'm doing. And that's not how we've done that, apparently. In the past, we put out for a per ton price.
Right.
We're not bidding on.
So that's how it's always been done, is a per ton price.
What's the average tonnage to do one of the roads that you have done or propose to do? Do you know how many ton you're looking to put down?
I don't have that in front of me, Ed. I really don't.
Okay. I mean, I was
But
looking to break it down into dollars and cents per road. So, do you know how many ton you used on the Hopper Road?
I could look it up, but while I'm on my phone, I really can't. So
Yeah, it's okay. I agree, they're all reputable companies. I have dealt with Pike.
I totally agree. All four of those companies are reputable companies.
Yeah.
There's no getting around that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that one's shadier than the other. I'm not saying that. But I guess what I'm saying is, you know, last year we only had two bidders. It was Dayton and it was FR Carroll. Then this year we had Pike, we had Libby Scott, which Libby Scott pays the Pike. So they're buying the hot top off them. So that's why they're more money. So
They're the only one of the three that doesn't make their own hot top. So,
right.
Ed, you started to say you had experience with Pike.
I have the last 2 years, 3 years. We've used them in Rollinsford. We have gone out to bid down there. They have always come in as the low bidder. And
What is the quality of their work?
excellent. I can't say anything bad about it. The crews have always been there on time. The last road that we just did was 0.8 of a mile. I don't recall what the tonnage was, but the crew that did it actually came out of Hooksett, not the local crew out of this area. So, but you know, they are a large company, no doubt in my mind. You know, if you look at them compared to Carroll's, I don't know how they compare to Allstate. I'm pretty sure Pike is probably considerably bigger than Allstate. So,
Well, my other
I don't really
biggest
think
thing
that
is
matters.
no, it doesn't.
No,
It's
it
the
doesn't.
crew. It's the crew that does the work and your local representation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to either one of those two. For $650,
Do you want to table it a week to figure out how much tonnage so we can talk, see if we're talking about? Nope, David's ready to go.
yeah, I don't know if it's worth holding off. I mean, as soon as we get through town meeting, these guys probably want to get to work, and I think Will has still got some money
Do you
left.
have an idea of how many tons they use on an average road, or maybe Will? Just so
I
you can-
had the one, I'm trying to look for the one they gave me for last year, so I give you guys a rough idea of what,
Okay.
for the HO. I'm trying to find it on my laptop right now.
Dave, do you know offhand what you would have, how many ton you would have used on a particular road?
roughly.
Well, it depends. I mean, are you talking a half mile, 2 miles?
A mile road.
Take a mile.
Okay, a mile. We were getting bids at. Let me see here. I got my calculator here. I can figure it out in about 5 seconds. If you're doing a mile, we always figure it was $100,000 a mile at say $65 a ton.
So we're trying to figure out how much the savings or increase would be between the, what is that, $6.50, Ed, between the
Yes.
two?
Yeah.
So 1 mile.
I honestly, if you guys want to pick whoever you're going to pick, because, you know, I don't want to say I haven't heard a reason why we're not going with the low bid other than you're great. So it doesn't matter. $6.50, you know, it's different if you're talking 25 cents, maybe a couple dollars. You're talking $6.50. We're not talking 50 cents here.
So how much would that be on a 1 mile road?
Like 100 ton, okay? You know, and it adds up. 100 ton ain't a whole lot.
No.
So when you're, you know, if you were talking, you know, $300 a ton, you know, or $6 or whatever, but you're talking, you know, 70-some dollars a ton. At the end of the day, I just asked the question. I just didn't get an answer. And, you know,
At 100,
if you're going to turn around and put this stuff out to bid, and then you get a high bid like that, and you don't take the low bid that does reputable work, and even everybody says they do, and even knows they do, then why are we putting this out to bid? It's cronyism at that point, because it was like, well, gee, I don't know, we're only $6.50 difference a ton. Well, we're going to go with the next door neighbor, even though they're a small company, even though they're owned by a big corporation in Massachusetts now. That doesn't hold water with me.
So 100 ton times 650. I don't have a calculator.
Yeah,
I should do that off the top of my head.
$6,500.
So 6,500, yeah, Joe's got it.
6,500. That's substantial money.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at these, you know, I glanced at these numbers last week, but seeing them on paper and seeing the 650, you know, $6,500, and you know, we know we're going to use 100 ton. So,
Reclaiming is cheap.
I mean, typically we have taken the recommendations of the road commissioners. I agree with that.
But I know we're trying to save our pennies too, so.
Yeah.
We have people complaining that we're going to spend too much money on our election this year, okay, on $1,500, okay, and we're talking 65, 10,000, whatever, and and all I want's a reason why that bid does not count. I just want the reason. That's all, and I'll go for Allstate.
Joe or Will? Any compelling reasons?
I mean, Joe just said the reasons, and I mean, I agree with him. I mean, in the past, I've watched all the selectors. I mean, you guys take the recommendation of the road commissioners, and that was it. And same thing last year. Pike didn't even bid on it last year. We had 2 bidders, and we went with that one. I mean,
this is this year.
Well, I understand that, but we usually take everything I've always said. We take the recommendation of the road commissioners, and then we give you our recommendation. I mean.
Yeah, but you got to, I mean, I understand that it feels defensive, and I hear you guys. I can, you know what I mean, I sense both of it. But you know what I mean, that you got to remember that the Board of Selectmen have to answer to the rest of the taxpayers. So all they're looking for is a reason why, you know what I mean, that Pike Industries might not be a good choice at $6.50, because anybody that watches the meeting is going to say, well, I heard the road commissioners say that all 4 of the companies are very reputable. And I mean, I can appreciate you had this other company last year, and you know what they do, and you might want to keep going with it. But David's got a point. I mean, we go out to bid, unless we can say that a company has a particular flaw and there's a reason. I mean, the board's going to have to answer to the taxpayers, especially in the time of COVID where everything is being cut, especially if you guys have both said the Pike is a reputable company. And at $6,500 for every 100 ton, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's almost more paving money for you.
Each truck hauls 23 ton, okay? Almost 25 tons. So every 4 trucks that comes in is almost 100 ton. Every 4 trucks, you're saving $6,500.
So think of the extra paving you could get done, if it is in fact a reputable company.
I just want an explanation. That's all I wanted.
And they are both companies are very reputable. So I've never used FR, but I know their reputation through Acton, through what they've done.
Very good. Very good.
Yep. Yeah. And I've never heard anything bad about them. So I guess at this point we got 2 companies. It's narrowed down to. We got Allstate's Carroll Materials, and we got Pike Industries. One is $74.50, and the other is $68. So I guess at this point, unless the 2 road commissioners have anything else they want to add in, I'm going to ask for a recommendation or a vote on which company.
Are we making motions now?
Yep, make a motion.
I'll make a motion. We take Pike Industry at $68 a ton.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Moved and seconded to choose Pike Industries at $68 a ton for the per ton laid hot top. The other numbers were fairly compatible. So, okay. Any other discussion? It's moved and seconded.
One more thing about that tree up to the orchard. I talked to Will Cody. They cut up the big section of the tree. There's just a pile of brush left. When we were up there mowing hay the other day, that's the only thing that's left up there.
Okay, thank you. Let's get through this motion first. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, moved and seconded to award the paving contract to Pike Industries at $68 a ton, which is $6.50 a ton less than the next bidder. So it's been moved and seconded. So I'm going to call for a vote. Or any other discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes on this one. So, okay, Pike Industries has awarded the bid. So,
We'll send out letters tomorrow.
okay, thank you. Thank you,
So-
thank you, Joe, and thank you, Will.
Yep.
Okay, new business.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, so it's 6:53. You have a public hearing scheduled at 7.
Yep.
What else we got?
Well, I mean, so I mean, I'm gonna kind of, I guess if I can kind of synopsis them all together, you can decide what you want to address and what you want to deal with next week. Or I might can almost
We
take a
can-
couple of these off, but
How long
we-
is Tom Gore's thing gonna take?
Tom Gore's thing is going to take some time, but that's the most concerning out of everything on there.
Right.
Um,
Let's go right into that right now.
okay.
See where we get.
All right. So, so Mr. Gore sent an email to Maine Municipal, the executive officers and member relations, and he basically told them that he was a past chairman of the Board of Selectmen, a current member of the Warren Finance. He says that several months ago, he made an application for active membership in MMA and that he hadn't heard anything. He believes that Maine Municipal staff are applying policies that the Board of Selectmen have set in respect to applications that are inconsistent with Maine Municipal's policies. Long story short, he sent Maine Municipal a list of email threads that he thought would prove his point. He ends with, on a final note, which may help explain why and how your staff have applied the policy properly, is that the town clerk identifies herself as the town administrator, while in fact the position does not exist in Acton. The position was created and named by the Board of Selectmen, and they have no authority to do that. So there's an email back from, so the first attachment that you got is the thread of emails that we have all seen. There's 4 pages of emails that date back to June of 2019. As a Warren and Finance Committee member, he was looking to have the Bridges and Culverts article reworded. He had some suggestions on it. Michelle sent the information to Maine Municipal. They actually made changes and rewrote the article. And we put that article as Richard Flewellen wrote it on the warrant, and that was voted on, and that was done. He had additional concerns with the product of Mr. Flewellen and continued to send emails. By then, it was town meeting time, and you guys basically said, you know, stop spending resources on it. Maine Municipal answered it. They wrote the article. There's nothing this year. So this year, when he's brought it up, we're not voting on a statutory reserve fund for bridges and culverts, so you wouldn't allow it to go any further. So I'm not sure how that's connected, but that was sent. I think that the point he's trying to make is that he wants to be able to go back and forth with legal. The Board of Selectmen shouldn't be able to say, stop, the conversation is over, because he wasn't done. So that's the first piece of it. Teresa Chavez from Maine Municipal did reply to the email. She sent it to Ed and I. I'm not going to read it all to you, but essentially it does say in here that a member of the municipality's chief executive officers can place restrictions on access to legal inquiries. The town of Acton has a restriction on access which was put in place in 2015, which was put in place prior, but as the titles changed, the letter changed. And essentially it says that all legal has to come through me, with the exception if anything happens to me, that Michelle is my backup. She goes on to say that they are welcome. Any appointed and elected person is welcome to have the resources of Maine Municipal, the documents, the newsletters, but you have the right to put something on, a stipulation on legal. The bigger part of the concern, I guess, with all of this is regarding the title, and I have been corresponding. I just got an email actually while you guys were talking about the paving. But essentially, I wanted to just point out, it's in your packet. Twice now in the last X amount of years, Mr. Gore has brought up concerns. The first one that you have in your packet, well, they're in opposite order, but the first one is in March of 2007. The Board of Selectmen sent an email. I sent an email on behalf of the Board of Selectmen spelling out what I do on a day-to-day basis, who I answer to, who makes the decisions. And we went back and forth with Brianna, I don't get her last name. You've got copies of the emails. It's probably 6 or 7 pages.
Mhm.
He ends by saying, Jennifer, thank you for the additional information. I agree that you are a town administrator, not a town manager. Nothing you provided indicated that the select board have changed the form of government or otherwise given you the authority or job responsibility that would require any town meeting vote. So in 2007, you got a legal answer. We forwarded him that. In 2018, he brought up the fact that there is now a conflict between me holding the town clerk position and the town administrator position. So we sought legal advice March 23rd of 2018. Email from, this one is still Susan Pilgrim, a different attorney. I don't see any legal issue under state law with one person holding the position of town administrator and town clerk at the same time. There are no legal incompatibilities of your office or the situation as two offices are not involved. She goes on to say that although it is outside the legal analysis, it might be helpful to know that many town administrators or town administrative assistants often do hold several positions indicating that of the clerk, including that of the clerk. So that was a position that we got a year later. Now the Board of Selectmen have over the years changed the position of the code officer to the director of planning. They have changed the treasurer to the chief financial officer. You know, and I'm going to go on the record for saying, I mean, at this point, I'm feeling harassed. I don't, you know what I mean? There's no other position being questioned. We've gotten legal advice. You know, I'm not sure what else to do with it. The problem is that, you know, for you guys, you're going to say, well, we've got answers and, you know, and we're moving forward. But what happens is our Warren and Finance Committee members change, the residents of Acton change. Here we are in 2020, 3 years later, a whole different group of people. And I've got to pull it all up just to defend myself and defend the town and show that the board did the right thing 3 years later. And you may say, don't do that, but these are all new people. You know, I can assure you that, you know, that Tucker Pearson wasn't on the Warren and Finance and didn't know any of this. You know, Dave Winchell Sr. wasn't. So if I don't take the time to rebut and do all this and pull it all together, it looks like he's right.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's frustrating, Ed. I don't know what else to do with that. I did, you know, he has sent some emails. The petition email, he had a large list of people that were on it when I invited him to the Zoom meeting tonight. He didn't want to attend in regards to the petition. He thought that we should invite the entire committee. I told him I didn't know that there was a committee.
Not a town committee.
Right. Well, no, it was just a separate. And he did just reply a few minutes ago saying that the committee members had the right to keep themselves private. So I'm not trying to overstep anything. When you send emails like that to groups of people, I mean, I have to be able to show what the town has done the last X amount of years. And, you know, I know you can say we're not going to get any more legal advice. We know the answer, but not everybody that walks in my office or sees these emails knows the answer.
Right.
So what do I do, boss? Bosses.
Shy of a cease and desist order. I mean, it is. I was going to say bordering on harassment. No, it's not bordering on harassment. It is harassment.
Yeah.
He knows the answer. He's gotten the answer 3 or 4 different times. So, and this was something that was done quite a few years ago. We know we did it right because we got legal advice prior to even doing it. So,
And we had to go through it again the first year I was here. I
yeah,
remember having to go through all of this again.
Yep.
To make sure everything was legal.
so, I mean, like I say, shy of something legal against him, but I don't recommend that. But, you know,
The only problem we have here is it doesn't seem to me matter how many times you show them the legal opinion. The unfortunate part is the town of Acton doesn't realize who's doing this, what group of people is doing this. The same people that are creating issues on other stuff that are doing the same thing. They keep themselves anonymous sources. You know what I think about anonymous sources? If I see someone anonymous source, I throw in the trash. If you can't put your name on it and say, you know, what your problem is and who you are because you think you're scared, this is town politics. If you have a legit gripe, put your name to it, send it in. And this individual's name, you got his name on all kinds of this stuff, but it's the petition stuff that I just see sitting here accusing us of doing all this stuff that's illegal and this and that. And Jen's right. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, the average person doesn't understand this.
Right.
They see this and they actually think we are breaking the law.
Right.
Even though the person that's putting it out there can't understand that we have legal opinion on everything that we've done. We have the governor telling us this is what we have to do. The only problem is we were proactive and we did it before everybody else did. And we've stated how many times now that this is a 1-year thing.
Exactly.
You know, and we just want to get through this year. We didn't create COVID. We didn't do the state shutdown. We were just adapting to what we have to adapt to. And honestly, I guess what we do is we have a packet, and we'll put it aside, and every time he goes in, we'll send him the packet. But at the same time, I don't think we have any legal action. I mean, this person's on a committee, and it's taking the committee a little going rogue. You know, I like using that, going rogue. And you know, I thought we had a pretty decent finance committee season this year. Being my first one, I thought it was pretty decent. We thought we've explained ourselves and why we're doing what we're doing, but it just, I guess, can't let it go. So we can't make this individual happy. Unfortunately, he's putting out information that's wrong.
And again, I go back to just very quickly. If he was addressing all of the positions equally, it would be different. But he's not. He's perfect. You know, he's only picking the one position. And it's okay if you don't think I'm a good fit for the position. It's okay if you think that there might be people that are better for this position. But until the Board of Selectmen feels differently, I mean, this is the job that I have. I just don't understand it. I mean, it saves the town so much money by combining positions. I just don't understand it. But it's, you know, I mean, between the emails, the digging, I mean, I'm spending hours on this, trying to, you know, rebut and answer. And it's frustrating.
And you have to, because you can't leave it. You can't leave it.
I have to, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would please ask you to read the chains. He's sent a few more emails have already been sent.
Okay.
I need somebody to speak up and help me out.
Okay.
Okay.
Michelle. Okay. Can everything else on this wait till next week?
Road Association can. The main adult, the Road Association meeting, they're looking for a meeting in August. We can talk about that later. They know you're not making any decision until after the election. Adult use, I'm going to have to run that by legal. With your blessing, trust me on that one. The application is in your packet. It is detailed. I'm working with code enforcement. Legal needs to look at it.
Yep.
Resignation as a rec member, it doesn't take effect until June 30th. So yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
If
And I got no public comment.
Okay.
Would you like a motion to?
If the rest of the board is okay, we will pick up under Section 8, Item B next week. So I'm just going to add that to the list for next week. And we need to shoot over to our public hearing, which we have to get out of this meeting and go back into another one, which you can find on the town's website. So you go scroll down just a little bit, you'll see a list of all the meetings and click on the Zoom meeting, and that's where you'll find us next. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion we adjourn June 17th.
And I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to adjourn this selectmen's meeting. Usually there's no discussion, so I'll call for a vote. Kim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Good night, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you over at the public hearing. Thank you.
Can I take 5 minutes?
Yes, it's
before we
going to
jump
take me
in?
it's going to take me a couple of minutes to get the other one